All right, let's get started. So you'll need a strap today, as well as 2 blocks, just in case we do use those blocks. May or may not end up using them. All right, let's get started. First off, I want you to grab your strap. Even if you think you're pretty flexible and you don't need a strap, just go ahead and grab the strap anyway. Humor me. And we're going to hold that up about shoulder width distance, straight up overhead. And pull the strap in opposite directions. Pull your shoulders down. I want you to engage your shoulders. And then I want you to turn your palms to face in. So we are internally rotating your arms and pulling the strap in opposite directions. Press down through your heels. Make sure your core and your hips are tight. Take a deep breath in and lift. And exhale, lean toward your right. Press your hips toward the left. Still pulling the strap in opposite directions. You're going to press your hips lightly to the left. You want to keep your core nice and tight. You should feel your obliques engaging, but also stretching. Press your head up, get as tall as you can. Again, really squeeze your thighs. One more breath, lean to the right a little bit more. And bring it back to the middle. Inhale. Maybe bring your strap a little bit closer. And then as you exhale, bring it over to the left now. Hips to the right. Still wrapping your palms to face one another. So wrapping your palms toward one another helps your biceps to turn back, and that's going to help put your shoulders in the correct position. So notice how when I internally rotate my arms, my shoulders dip. So that's what I want to do here. And that's going to help me put my shoulders in the right position for when I'm doing cropos, push-ups, anything upper body-wise. Go up a little bit taller, breathe in. Exhale a little bit deeper. Hips toward the right. Stand up nice and tall. One more breath. And then bring it back to the middle. All right, one more. Go up. Exhale, reach back. Just 3 breaths here. Really squeezing the arms back, pressing your arms up, looking at the sky camera, saying hello. Press down through your heels, squeeze your core, squeeze your hips. Try looking up and try looking back a little bit. So we're going to get a deeper back bend, but still feeling this mostly in the core. Make sure to keep length in your lower back. One more breath. And go ahead and release. All right, take the strap behind you. You're going to hold it about shoulder width distant, maybe hip width distant. Reach down toward the ground. Bring your shoulders up, back, and down. Squeeze your elbows toward one another so your biceps are totally facing your upper body or your body here. You're not doing anything like this. Right, the biceps are facing forward. Your chest is nice and open and reaching your arms down and back. Now lift your arms away from your back. And this is going to engage your upper back. So one thing that yoga doesn't do a lot of is strengthen your upper back. There's nothing to recreate a pulling motion with an external load in yoga, right? We don't have a bar that we can do pull-ups on. We don't have a weight that we can do that we can use to lift and do a rowing motion. So using the strap and lifting your arms away from your back like this is one of the best things we can do in yoga to help make your upper back active. And you're going to need that for crow pose. Lift up a little bit more. We're going to do 2 more breaths here. Keep engaging the back. Try to squeeze your shoulder blades together. Really feeling those muscles in between your shoulder blades engaging. Feeling your chest open. Feeling the upper back engage. Lift up a little bit higher for 1 more breath. Squeeze your biceps. And then go ahead and release. All right, take that down. And we're going to move down to the floor into a plank. Plant your hands, index fingers face forward, thumbs face in. Turn your biceps to face forward. Lift your thighs, squeezing your knees. Pull your body forward. Make sure your shoulders are directly over your hands, not behind, not forward, but right on top. And this is important. You want to make sure that you're pressing down into the ball mounds of your fingers. So I'm not pushing down into my wrist or kind of letting my weight dump into my wrist. I'm focusing on pushing down into that area where my fingers meet my palms. And then maybe looking slightly forward, getting a little extension through the neck to help strengthen my upper back. Keep your belly button tight and lifted. And now squeeze your hands toward your feet and your feet toward your hands for 2 breaths. So that's really going to turn your core on. Shoulders, upper back, chest engaged. Everything in the upper body and even the lower body engaged here. 1 more breath. All right, and then take your knees down, untuck the toes. We're going to pull your body forward and lower into a low plank with your knees down just to practice the form here. So I want you to make sure your chest is totally open here. So your shoulder blades are pulled down and back. Your elbows are squeezing in. Upper arms are engaged. You shouldn't feel anything in the fronts of your shoulders. It should be in the chest and your upper back. If you notice that your shoulders are rounding in like this, pull them up. Keep your belly button lifted. Again, we're just practicing form here. It should be pretty difficult even with your knees down. One more breath. Press down hard through your hands. And release down. All right, little Cobra. Reach the legs back, point the toes, squeeze your thighs, knees, hips, ankles, squeezing toward one another. Tops of your toes pressing into the ground. Squeeze your elbows back. Bring your hands further back. It helps to bring your hands actually even further behind your chest to get a little more back engagement. And then barely lift your chest off the ground, just using the strength of your lower body and your core. Push the top of your head forward. Press the back of your neck toward the ceiling. Give this one breath. And release down. All right, let's take this back into a child's pose. Make sure that the shoulders are nice and open. So knees are wide, big toes touch. Walk your arms out in front of you. Fingers spread wide. Once again, index fingers forward, thumbs in, forehead relaxed, arms squeezing toward one another. And work on lengthening your torso here. So the front side of your torso is long. Want to make sure that we're not rounding the back right now, but almost thinking of arching the back so that we can lengthen the front of the torso and get a nice stretch to the chest and shoulders. Squeeze your arms toward one another. And we're making this child's pose active, so make sure that your elbows aren't collapsing toward the ground, but you're keeping your arms squeezing toward one another, keeping the biceps wrapping up. Breathing in and out of the nose. Tightening your core. So keeping your core tight, keeping the shoulders engaged. Maybe playing around with your shoulder positioning. See what happens when you bring it up and down away from the ears. Maybe bring it forward. Really what we want to do is have that internal rotation so the biceps face slightly up. And you're going to feel that in your upper back more when you do that. One more breath here. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and take it into a squat, just because I like squats, and that helps with crow pose too. So, feet facing straight forward, squeeze your legs toward one another, tighten your hips, externally rotate your hips to squeeze your butt cheeks toward one another, like you're pinching a penny between your butt, and then sit down into a squat. Use your elbows to drive your knees open to get a deeper stretch in your groin. Lift your arms up and lean back. Just a couple breaths here. Make sure the weight is in your hips and your core, and your chest is lifted. So one thing I really like doing here, bringing your hand to your thighs like this, and then lifting your chest away from your thighs really helps to engage the core and get you a better squat. We want to avoid the traditional yogi squat, which is rounding your back and doing something like this, and move more into a powerful squat like this, lifting up your chest, keeping the glutes engaged, and a little bit of an arch to your spine. One more breath. And go ahead and stand up all the way without leaning forward. Squeeze your glutes forward, tighten the hips. All right, we're going to move into a high lunge from here. So right leg forward, left leg back. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Push your right hip toward the ground. Take a couple breaths here. Don't worry about what your arm's doing right now. We're going to let the hips work into this. Big breath in. Exhale, sink deeper, so allowing your hips to come forward, allowing that knee to move forward, putting the weight all the way from getting the hip and the knee involved. So from the knee all the way to the hip, feeling weight there. We want to start with the weight in the hip, and then as we bend the knee forward more, then we can feel it in the knee as well. But we want to get both joints involved in this, not just the hip, not just the knee, but working together. Go ahead and bring your arms up. Relax the shoulders. And I want you to bring your arms along your sides. And we're going to move all the way up, squeezing your arms toward the back. So what I mean by that, squeeze your arms toward the back as much as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Bring them back in. Bring your arms a little bit higher. Squeeze toward the back as much as you can, so getting the back active. Coming back in. Coming a little bit higher, so now our arms are parallel with the ground. Squeezing back. And back in. A little bit higher. Squeeze back. Stretching your chest, getting the back active. Bring it back in. A little bit higher. Squeeze back. Bring it back in. And now straight up, squeezing your arms back. Bring it back in. And then release your arms. Go ahead and stand back up. Take a little forward fold here. Give your legs a break. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Make sure you're stretching your hamstrings, pressing down through your heels, pressing down through the feet, the toes, the arches of the feet. Squeeze your thighs toward one another. Maybe the fingertips touch the ground. Maybe you bring your fingertips to a block. Both of those work. Notice how I'm keeping my back flat here. I'm not allowing my lower back to round up like this, but I'm using my core strength to lengthen the front of my torso. So I'm keeping my abs long. Maybe bringing my hands to the ground. Working on stretching through the hamstrings. Squeezing your quadriceps. Squeezing the legs toward one another. All right, and then go ahead and sit down. We're gonna come into a brief squat. Bring the arms out in front of you. Lift your arms. Just one breath here. Try to sink your hips a little bit lower than your knees. And stand up. All right, let's switch sides. High lunge, opposite side. Left leg forward, bring the right leg back. Press down through your left heel, press down through your left foot. Keep your ribs up away from the hips. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sink your hips down. Allow that left knee to come forward. Knee over the ankle. If it's too easy, bring your foot forward a little bit more or tighten your back thigh. We should feel a nice stretch through the right hip flexor. Good engagement from the knee all the way to the hip. So the glute is active, core is active. Really, most of the weight here is in the hips. But again, we do want to feel the muscles connecting to the knee, engaging. So we want to feel the quadriceps really active. We really want to feel the muscle right here on the inner, not the inner thigh, but just inside the knee. Your vastus medialis obliquus. This guy right here, he should be engaged. Well, could be a girl, I guess. He or she could be engaged, whatever you want to assign a gender. Sorry. Bring your arms along your sides. We're going to do that same exercise again. So squeezing your arms back, bringing it forward, bring it up a little bit higher. Again, squeezing back. So this is a really kind of a cool exercise to open your chest and get your back active. Bring it up a little bit higher, and again, squeeze back. Bring it back in. Keep coming up, keep squeezing back. So working on opening up the chest here, but also engaging the muscles in your back. And we're going through the full range of motion of your arms here as we go up. Try not to arch your back as you're doing this. Our goal is to open your shoulders, not to arch your back. All right, one more, arms straight up, squeeze back, last one. And then release the arms. And then go ahead and step up. Take another forward fold. Squeeze your legs toward one another. Squeeze your thighs. Pull your chest forward. Keeping length through your abs. One more breath here. Open up the hamstrings a little bit more. And then go ahead and sit down into that squat once more. Let's go ahead and balance out your hips one more time. Push down through your feet. Sink your hips below your knees. Bring the arms out in front and lift your chest. One breath here. And stand up. Thanks for joining me for this workout today. Make sure you subscribe. We put out lots of videos like this on a very regular basis. And to get full access to all of my workouts, my programs, tutorials, and more, head to manfulyoga.com, sign up for a 7-day trial. It's just $1. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.